Good morning, dear friends. Monday, March 4th, 2024. Beautiful forecast for the weather today. It's going to be sunny and warm. I'll be able to go out just with a sweater on. It's going to be wonderful, wonderful weather today. I wanted to answer a couple questions that came in from atheists that I've been dealing with for some time. I should be winding that up soon, hopefully. This first question from Warren Peterson, 6065. Dear Patrick, please address the following in a future episode. Christianity accounts for 34% of the world population, but there is no one unifying doctrine, and as such, controversy arises between the factions. So this shows me that this person has took the trouble to investigate the percentage of the world population that is Christian, and so I appreciate that. For example, some believe in the Trinity while others dispute. Some believe in rapture while others do not. Some believe Jews and Muslims believe in the same God as Christians while others do not. I happen to believe that. Some, like you, believe miracles can only occur to the faithful of the Christian God. I don't think I believe that. While other religions and non-believers experience miracles. That's good. I think everybody could experience miracles. Please address these topics so that we, your viewers, get a better understanding of what type of Christian you are and which doctrine guides you. I often consider myself Gnostic because I believe in the value of the first century writings and the other Gospels and things like that. There are some things about the Gnostics that I don't agree with, but I also believe in the importance of direct divine experience. This is why I consider myself a Gnostic. But I think the fact that there's a mosaic, a tapestry of all these different denominations is part of God's plan. I believe that, obviously. He said that he would strike the shepherd and the sheep would be scattered. And so you do have this pardon me. Oh, excuse me. The sun makes me sneeze. You do have this fragmented aspect of the broader Christian religion. And I think this is a feature, not a bug, you could say, that Christians are described as the salt of the earth, so they're kind of distributed. And there's a number of parables that Jesus talks about. He says the kingdom of God is like this. It's like, a tree that's got many different branches and the birds can nest in it. And it's like something that gets kneaded through bread and then it gets through the entire amount of dough. And I look at that as being like truth, right? Jesus said he is the truth. And it permeates through civilization, modern society, as we move away from uncivilized barbarianism into a place of civil cooperation. I think that requires a certain level of truth. When you have wholesale corruption and fraud, the society breaks down and dies, like the Roman Empire, for example. And so I think we're seeing that power of truth resurging as people realize, okay, we can't just run our countries as corrupt piggy banks for our cronies. We have to have some semblance of responsibility towards one another, and this has a purifying effect, although sometimes it seems like it's not really going in that direction, especially these days. But that's just a part of God's plan. But I really appreciate the question. I'm thankful for it. I think that miracles can occur throughout the world because I believe that the vast majority of human society has an innate desire, an innate affinity towards acknowledging a higher power, acknowledging God and reaching out to God, and miraculous things happen to all kinds of people. I've seen miraculous stories from atheists who have had near-death experience, and it has transformed their way of thinking, transformed their lives. Doesn't necessarily turns them into a Christian per se, but there you go. But thank you for the question. I'm sorry I can't answer it as good as I can because it's a mystery to me as well why it's like that. There's not much cohesiveness amongst Christians, and you have a very good question there. I have to ask God about it myself, I suppose. Another one is from BWG Media. Now, BWG Media has been contacting me with a number of questions, and I don't believe that they're in good faith. I think it's from somebody who's a younger person because they use the phrase "do better." That's a common phrase from the current narrative of being indignant towards somebody that doesn't agree with you. Right? It's kind of like the word. Literally, or what's another one they say? Let that sink in. You can these catchphrases that are commonly used by the younger generation, I would say, are an indication of in general, victimhood. Just this kind of what he does. This BWG media person, as well as a number of other people that have been responding to me, is this what I call harping. So they're not really acting in faith. They just want to try and overwhelm the person that doesn't agree with them with as much commentary to kind of drown them out. It's a technique they call it harping, and it just kind of goes, no matter what you say, they'll have something else on top of that. So no matter how much evidence you give them, and no matter how much you try and explain to them about a certain topic, they will try and drown you out with, just mostly nonsense, verbose rhetoric to kind of drown out their opponents, so to speak. He says, tell me, Pat, why doesn't God heal amputees? That would be a fair question if it was a full stop right there. That would be a respectful question. But he goes on to say, are they just not devout enough? And that kind of tips his hand that he's being malicious. Or is it in God's plan to not let mothers walk down the aisle? And he goes downhill from there, right? He gets really malicious towards God. Or is it in God's plan to not let mothers walk down the aisle? Fathers hold their daughters and sons in their arms. Sorry, you've been fortunate enough in your life to not experience this or to have to think about this. It's very condescending, and I won't be answering any more questions from this BWG media person because they are not sincere in their questions. So the fact of the matter is that I've said this before, that the people we pity in this life we'll envy in the next. God explains to us in Revelation that in the kingdom to come, that every tear will be wiped away and there'll be a great reconciliation. And this question can be, instead of looking at it from the negative aspects of it, if I try and look at it in its best light and leave out the snotty parts, it's a question that validates belief in God. The reason is because without God, there is no value in human suffering. There is no sense in human suffering without God. Without the concept of reconciliation, this final consolation, where you get to meet your loved ones that have passed on, and people are healed from all their infirmities that they've had. There are anecdotal stories of people that have had limbs healed. You can look up the Azusa Street miracles, or someone like Smith Wigglesworth, people like that. And there's been, a few here and there. Even Jesus said when he came back to Nazareth, he said he couldn't do much miracles there because of their lack of belief. There's documentation in the Gospel of Jesus healing the servant's ear that got cut off, in the garden. He restored that. The guy with the withered hand, he asked him to stretch forth his hand, and it became whole like the other one. And so I think it's certainly a possibility when the circumstances line up, so to speak. But it's obviously something that would be a very rare occurrence, right? Just because it's a fantastic miracle. But the fact of the matter is that people will have this consolation in heaven. I'm going to include a clip of a video, a link to a video for you of a guy who is walking for the first time when he is using the example that you mentioned. He's walking down the aisle with the daughter. And for the hardcore atheists like Richard Dawkins, for example. Now this BWG Media guy asked me, oh, you probably never reviewed Dawkins' book. And I actually went back and I found some old videos that I had done. And I was actually reviewing some of the videos. And I'm reminded that Dawkins considered humanity to be a virus. That's all. For someone like Dawkins, there is no meaning, there is no purpose in human suffering at all. At all. There's no room for it. It's just he considers humanity to simply be a virus that wants to replicate its genes. That's it. No purpose beyond that. And his book, The Selfish Gene, is just a disgusting portrayal of what humanity is. And so this question necessitates a heaven. It necessitates a consolation when every tear is wiped away, as we're given the description in Revelation, when all things are created new. There's no more memory of the pain and the sorrow that we experienced on earth. In fact, it even says that the memory of earth will one day pass away, right? And so this is something to consider. I'm not going to try and be too harsh on this individual because I'm assuming it's the younger generation. And, you know, the younger generation has never really, their battles are very different. Their battles are dealing with their own insecurities and victimhood. In my generation, you know, fist fights in public school was a common occurrence. You know, I moved so many times growing up that it was a more visceral struggle than it is today. And so I'll leave that for now. I'm not going to try and pick on this person. But the other thing I do notice about these people that kind of harp and they repeat their thing. Give me more evidence. Give me I don't believe in the Bible. Give me something else beside the Bible. And they go on and on and on. Very often, 99% of the time, they're anonymous. They want to remain hidden. It's no wonder that the term for the enemy, Beelzebub, is Lord of the Flies. They're like flies. They buzz around and they want to support their views and they want to be progressive. They want to exchange the morality of the Bible for their new morality, which they say is better. And the older generation, their morality is no good. It's outdated. We have this new superior morality, which is a progressive morality that is inclusive and is this and that and so on and so forth. So anything to do with the old guard, the old values, is against their doctrine. And this is also a major tenet of Marxism, right? The Cultural Revolution. Get rid of the old and bring in the new. And so any videos that you see here, I welcome you to duplicate them or share them, whatever, because eventually they will not be permitted if the progressives of the corporatocracy like YouTube and so on will have their way, because anything to do with religion will be eventually banned, because especially in Canada with the new bill that's coming out, anything that could be seen as threatening towards a person that has a weak self-esteem, they can make a complaint anonymously and they can have that removed. So if I say something that would offend a person that is an atheist, they'd simply have that removed, and the state would go along with that, of course, because the state doesn't want anything to do with religion. The state wants to be the religion. The state wants to be the God of the people, and that's what's the current situation in China today. Even though they have underground religions, they have their underground Christian religion, they have underground Falun Gong religion, and they have a lot of underground religions. But as far as the mainstream narrative of the state, it is the state and nothing else. That's where your loyalty must lie. And it's moving towards that in Western society. The degree to which that will succeed or not is in God's hands, and he says that his church will prevail in spite of all the efforts of the enemy, and that a remnant will always remain until he comes back, and so on and so forth. So you can read that if you like. But I'm going to try and move on from these questions. Thank you for your questions. I've collected over 50,000 words of answers to atheists that could easily be spun into a publication of some sort. This is a new book that I just received. It was lent to me, and so I'm trying to get through it. I've read the first 2 chapters. Peter C. Newman, a great Canadian writer/journalist, he is able to write in an entertaining style while still being very informative about facts. And it's interesting, the second chapter is about God. This book covers the years from 1985 to 1995, and he talks about the dramatic changes that have occurred in Canadian society during that time. And so I'm hoping to dig into that and make some videos on that in the near future. I've gone on too long already, but again, thank you for your questions. I hope that you're doing well. I pray that God blesses you. I hope you're able to get out and enjoy this fantastic weather we're going to have today. I'm going to go for a walk and do some more reading. So God bless you very much. I love you. I pray that you're doing well. BWG Media, I'm sorry I won't be answering any more of your questions because I think you have your own stubborn agenda, and wherever that takes you, I wish you good luck. That's the other thing. I often say good luck because for the atheist, there is no concept of divine intervention. So you are dependent upon the chaos of the universe. You're dependent upon random chance. And if that's how you want to live your life, I say good luck to you. I hope it works out for you. It didn't for me. I sought God. I experienced my own divine experience, which I'm not going to share with others because to me it's personal and private, just as Jesus instructed. But I think there's more than enough in the 3 channels of evidence of the scriptures, nature, and our own inner conscience. Those are the 3 areas of revelation that are described in Paul's letter to the Romans. And if those are rejected based on a person's own decision, their own choice, their own evaluation of how they've rejected the Bible and so on and so forth, that's their free choice. I wish them well. And for the atheists that may eventually see this video, I wish you well. No hard feelings, but it's time for me to move on to other things. And if there are other more sincere questions that do come in, I will definitely do my best to address them. I'm sure that there's a 99% chance that there's things that I don't have figured out. There's a 100% chance that I'm wrong about some things. And I'm okay with that because I still want to learn. I want to learn from life experience, and to learn from God and to learn from the scriptures, as Solomon said, so that we may be able to present to him a heart of wisdom when we do have to face God in eternity. So we can learn from our earthly experience and present that to God that we have learned. There are those who have suffered horribly in this life, and think about that. The people that suffer under atheism, there is no meaning to their suffering. I'll put another link to another video that I did about this young girl that passed away from bone cancer, and you tell me that according to Dawkins that means nothing. That to me is the most horrific evaluation of life that could be, that to say that this has no value to God. There is going to be a consolation. There is going to be rewards in heaven. And it's going to be coming for all of us very, very soon. And I'm also going to put a link to a video of a MIT scientist that gave an explanation of why they decided to turn to Christianity. They said that science doesn't explain love. It doesn't explain meaning. You can't measure meaning of life with scientific instruments. You can't measure love with scientific method. You know, the 7 steps of the scientific method, or evaluation, or a slide rule, or a calculator. And so I'm going to put a link to her video. It's an excellent video about an MIT scientist that converted to Christianity. And you may find that interesting. So thank you again. God bless you. Hope to talk to you soon, and have yourself a wonderful day. Bye-bye now.